Live from the Talking Joe Studios, it's Talking Joe with Chief and Mark.
Talking Joe weekly podcast. Talking Joe is there. Talking Joe thought we would last. Talking Joe is there. Fighting each other like a married couple. Our podcast on the air. Talking Joe is there.
Talking Joe is the code name for a completely untrained special podcast force. Its purpose, to produce a weekly comic review show and serve as an outlet for Chief's creative talents and unleash them upon the world.
Talking Joe. Talking Joe is there. Chief is on his soapbox. Nobody seems to care. Fighting for fandom wherever there's trouble. The podcast on the air. Talking Joe is there. Talking Joe. Talking Joe.
Talking Joe is on the air, and here are your hosts, Chief and Mark.
Hey, hey, hey! You are not being deceived, Talking Joe public. That's right, we are back. We are live in your living room, in your hot tub, in your bed. Well, not literally in your bed, I hope not. Well, unless you want us to be in your bed, I don't know. But I am the Chief Doggy Dog. For this bonus ep, I've been joined by a new guy. Oh no, it's the same old guy. It's you.
It's me, Mark.
How are you?
I've done a few episodes now. Must be a record by now, surely. The way that you discarded those other chumps.
No, that's right. You're here. Glad to be alongside the Funky Bunch as always. It's been a short week. We're pumping out this little bonus episode. If you've listened to the most recent one, you will have heard that there's a break in this artificial intelligence storyline running through the 260s, and this issue 263 we'll discuss now, and it's called Some Gave All. And what's the history behind this then? Was that the plan of editorial and publishing to have this break, or was it just something they wanted to do? Do you know anything about it?
I don't know for sure, but the timing of it is, I mean, it's a Memorial Day issue, and the timing of when it came out was around about Memorial Day. I think it was maybe the month before or after. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, the publishing date I think was obviously April 2019. So we got this issue plonked right down in the middle. I've got a question for you that's not necessarily relevant to this pod, but between me and you, when you bind these, because you're obviously going to bind them, you're doing a big project at the moment, are you going to put this one after Artificial Intelligence, that 4-part? Surely you're not going to bind it in sequential order in the middle?
Well, the thing is that because Artificial Intelligence kind of runs on then into the next arc, there's a kind of logic for having that run on, and there's not a clear break.
Maybe you could jump forward even more and put it in like after 250 or something, or
maybe
before whatever came before Venom. What was the one that I got? Is it Venom Rising that came before Artificial Intelligence? Maybe you pop it before that.
Maybe.
Yeah, because there's nothing necessarily in here that is relevant to any ongoing storylines, I don't think. So you can put it wherever you want, but. Anyway.
Yeah. I already gave it a little bit of thought. I don't think there's necessarily a lovely neat break immediately before the previous arc or immediately afterwards, but
straight after Snake Hunt, maybe
maybe
as a nice little sort of capping
could
point.
be.
I don't know how
because they go into the untold tales then, don't they?
Yeah,
but that's 10 issues later than when it's meant to be. It's a minefield, Chief.
Favorite cover.
Let's have a dig in here. Let's look at the covers. I've got the Gallant cover with Dead Joes on the cover.
Can you name the Dead Joes?
Here we go. Name the Joes. Is there a clue in the character pose? Maybe the outfit or the funky clothes. Do I spy a pair of pantyhose? Some facial hair or distinctive nose? ID the Joes. Knock 'em over like dominoes. Or Larry Hammer's polyphonic prose. Name the Joes. Name them.
I mean, this is an easy one.
Doc, Quick Kick, Crazy Legs. Who's that guy on the left? I don't know.
On the left, it's
Breaker,
Avalanche.
Avalanche, yeah. Breaker, and then that guy on the right. I don't know. Some Battle Force 2000 dude.
It's another Mel Gibson film, Chief.
Braveheart.
Thinking Card Sharp.
Payback. We Were Soldiers. Lethal Weapon. The one with James Garner, Jodie Foster. That's a good movie. Maverick. Maverick, yes. First Guest Chief, they call him, Maverick.
First guess, yeah.
And
well
then,
done.
Snake Eyes, file name unknown.
That's right.
Okay.
You got them all right.
Do you think they will ever reveal... Do you think they'll ever reveal Snake Eyes' real name?
Do I think they'll ever reveal Snake Eyes? No.
Okay.
I don't think they've got any reason to.
Sure. Interesting there. Quick, if anyone wants to do any research out there in Podland, no one will. You might, Funky Bunch, because I know you love research. Do you think there are many characters, if any, in... let's say Marvel, DC, IDW, of long-standing books of the ilk of G.I. Joe in terms of its longevity that have a main character whose name we've never known? Do some research for me.
I'm sure there must be. So
Okay.
Wolverine was unknown for a very long time.
Yes, but we know his name now.
Mm-hmm.
Is he James Howlett? Is that his name?
James Hewitt, I believe, isn't it?
Okay.
Or is
I
it
thought
Howlett? Oh,
Dunno.
could be.
Right.
Or is it Hewitt? Is that Princess Diana's?
I don't know. Leighton Hewitt was a tennis player, Australian.
I don't know. Okay, we
anyway.
know his name. Yeah.
Cover B is by Dan Frager, and it's the Crimson Twins falling through a skylight onto a cobra symbol.
Yeah, what's that doing on this issue? It's got nothing to do with the issue.
Dan
at
Frager
all.
as well. It's a name that I am familiar with, but only because of the early years of Image Comics. I'm talking early 90s, and he did a lot of the Rob Liefeld books. So that might... I was thinking, why is he drawing a cover? But maybe I've just no-priced it myself by... You know, if he did a lot of Liefeld books and maybe he is still friends with Liefeld, Liefeld's connections with G.I. Joe, having done the Dead Game miniseries recently, maybe that's why Dan got a cover gig here, but a name that hasn't, to my knowledge, been associated with comics for a long time.
Could be. I mean, sort of looking just at the thumbnail, it seems to be not a million miles away from something that John Royal would do. So it's maybe like who is in that kind of Royal ballpark, who might be able to give us a nice splashy cover that's got nothing to do with the interiors.
Yeah, because we're missing a Royal cover this month. Maybe he had other stuff going on. You're correct. And there's a retail incentive, which is Gallant pulling double duty here with another cover. Don't particularly like this one. Roadblock, kind of crouching, just holding his Mardoos.
Yeah,
pretty boring.
It's nothing special, is it? Because I mean, and it's also got nothing to do with the interiors, really. I mean, Roadblock's in the issue, but that's about as close as it gets. So it's a kind of a generic pin-up that is sort of filling a spot of being a variant cover.
Then we've got one that's quite nice here. Again, I'd like to see this one blown up a bit bigger, so I'll Google that, obviously. But this is from the Greater Austin Comic-Con exclusive cover, and it's by Vo Guyon, and it's kind of a painted Snake Eyes holding a flag with some rubble, and then a helmet on top of a gun butt in the ground. Pretty evocative, pretty emotional cover.
Yep. Atmospheric, nice.
Right, so this, as you mentioned, is the Memorial Day issue, and it's just all things along that line of looking back at fallen comrades, and not just one group of Joes going to, I guess, Arlington, but other sections. So you've got ninjas in here as well, then you've got even a wolf at one point, and then we also cut over to Darklonia as well. So, getting quite a few different viewpoints here.
Yeah. Do you want a plot breakdown of some of those viewpoints?
I would, please, yes.
On Memorial Day, the Joes and their allies are remembering their fallen comrades. Stalker and Storm Shadow run into Wade Collins at the Vietnam Memorial in DC. The three are there to remember their departed LRRP buddies, Ramon Escobedo and Dickie Saperstein. In Arlington Cemetery, Duke and Roadblock visit the graves of departed Joes and run into Doc's parents. Duke and Roadblock remember General Flagg's funeral, the day they officially joined the team. Scarlet remembers Snake Eyes on the Staten Island ferry. Granny Demon remembers the Hardmaster and Softmaster in Japan. Budo, Raymond and Milo do the same in San Francisco. In Staten Island, Clutch hosts a cookout for the chaplain's assistants, as well as some local orphans. In Darklonia, Katya, the resistance leader, visits the grave of Sneak Peek and turns the tables on some would-be assassins in the process. Meanwhile, in Utah, Orc holds an empty boot ceremony to remember the team's fallen. And finally, in the High Sierras, Timber the Wolf visits Snake Eyes' cabin and howls. Howl!
Sure does. Although I thought Timber was dead. We'll come on to that later as we discuss.
Yeah, I think it's Timber
3.
3.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
whichever Timber we're on with the scar on his eye that was in the books earlier, I
Yes,
think.
there you go.
They have to call him Timber and not refer to his other code names just to keep the Cobras on their toes.
Yeah.
Because if they knew that the original Timber was dead, it might sort of disrupt things.
Yes. Okay, so good plot breakdown. We can dig in. Should we dig into each one in turn, do you think?
Yep, we can do that.
All right,
Should we talk about art first?
Oh, yeah, so we've got Gallant back on duties.
Shannon Gallant is back on art duties after a few issues away. So he disappeared off to do the crossover with the $6 Million Man, and has been away and didn't return for a long run since. But then it's back on this one-off issue. So nice return. It's good to see him back.
Welcome return to replace Nitho Diaz, who is good, but not particularly my cup of tea. Ron Joseph, who I really liked, especially when he was inking himself. Maybe less so when Brian was inking him, but nice to see Shannon back on the book and doing a good job as always.
All very solid, competent work there. Okay, so we are on Memorial Day, which is a federal holiday in the United States for honouring and mourning military personnel who have died in the performance of their duties serving the United States Armed Forces. And the holiday is observed on the last Monday of May.
Yeah, so, I mean, page 1 here, you've got Storm Shadow and Stalker. They're kind of looking up guys, but even Shannon's gone kind of for the emotional heartbeat straight away, because you actually see, just in between the two lead characters, you see a couple kind of breaking down. One guy's leaning over, holding the wall, and you're kind of hit straight away with the
emotions.
The horror of war, Yeah,
because I mean, because of the day involved, Memorial Day, I guess a lot of people would be out at these kind of places more so than normal, going out to visit, the loved ones that are no longer with them.
Yes. I like what Shannon's done on page 2 here, where he's kind of got this flashback, ghostly figures kind of in the background, and as the panels go down the page, they kind of get longer and longer and bigger as more people populate them, more of their dead comrades populate the background. Yeah,
it's a nice touch as they're walking along, being reflected with their fallen Vietnam comrades, as you say.
Yes,
it's a good effect.
Then they get to the wall.
Panel number 2 on the wall. There's a whole bunch of names there.
Okay, right. Challenge for Chief. I've done no research, no Googling. I'm just looking at this and I'm going to see how I do.
Here we go. Explain the wall. Chief's got to explain the wall. Do you think you know it all? It's not in Berlin or Hadrian's, the Great Wall of China. No, it's a wall that's memorial, not wailing. No. Can Chief explain the wall? Explain it.
So, top row looks to be Waltz, maybe. Now, I know Tom Waltz was an IDW editor, but I don't think he's dead. So, I don't know if that's a relative of his or someone. Don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be either Tom Waltz or possibly in memory of one of his relatives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Harold Fredericks Jr. No idea.
What if I were to tell you that his nickname was Fred?
Ah, Fred 7. Okay.
No, Fred Fredericks.
Fred Fredericks? Fred?
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger? No.
It's literally his name. Fred Fredericks was a G.I. Joe artist who did some of the Benzine arc, that arc where a lot of the Joes were sort of
in the early hundreds,
deceased.
Right.
Yeah, so including the issue where Sneak Peek was shot, for example, the first time.
Got it. Okay, all right, good stuff. Next one is Lorenzo. Then it looks like P-A-R-E something, Paran or don't know.
Yeah, I drew a blank on that one.
Okay.
I wasn't sure.
Going to the next line, Marie Severin. She penciled an issue of G.I. Joe, and it was a really good one, actually. It was in the 30s somewhere. 35, 34,
I think
something
it's
like that.
the one where they had like the early version of the sort of bats, where the Cobra Troopers had the antennae sticking out the top of their helmets, being controlled badly by Cobra Commander.
Stuff. And the USS Flag and all that kind of stuff, really, or Jane, sorry, whatever it was. But enjoyed that. I think she did a lot of Western and other non-superhero comic stuff in the 70s. So then we got Jack Abel. Name rings a bell. I'm thinking DC Comics for some reason. Old-timer, but I don't know.
Exactly. He's another old-timer comic inker, and he worked on the issue with the first appearance of Quinn, which would have been issue 2.
Right, okay. Next off looks like Christos or Christoph Strand something. Don't know. Drawn a blank.
Wasn't sure about that one.
Okay, let's go. Next one. Canned. No. There's a letter before the K. Don't know.
No, not sure on that one.
Okay. Richard Saperstein. Richard
Nickname
S.
would be-
Saperstein. So that's Dickie Saperstein from the
That's right.
LRP. Yeah.
Yep, Dickie.
Then, but looks like Adele Burkhart maybe.
Oh, it could be, couldn't it? It's
I think that's an A.
Well,
And then Burke. I'm going to go Adele Burkhart.
it's not a full name, is it? There's not really enough of a gap to have an Adele, but could be.
Is. Next one, Herbert W. Trimpe. So that's Herb Trimpe.
Yep.
Paul Ryan. This is the same guy. I didn't know he was dead. I remember him vividly because when I started collecting comics, 92 maybe, American-sized comics, he was drawing Fantastic Four for Marvel. Had a big, long run with Tom DeFalco writing. And also he did some stuff on the Superman books for DC, if that's the same Paul Ryan.
I'm sure it would be.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have to be, wouldn't it? And he did the SFX issue.
Yes.
G.I. Joe, I believe.
Diagnostics favourite. Yes, Paul Ryan, yeah. Too many fingers covering up too many letters on the next bit.
Mm-hmm.
Then looks like we've got William Rogers III, more commonly known as Marshall Rogers.
Ding ding.
Very
Correct.
famous. Did some of the Cobra Civil War books.
That's
and
right.
also famously did Strange Apparitions, I think, which was Batman.
Yeah, big run.
storyline.
Significant run on Batman, yeah.
Archie Goodwin. Enough said. Don't need to say any more about that legend. Next row, Ugrio. Don't know.
Not sure about that one.
Missing at the
No.
beginning. Okay, fine. Frank Springer, one of my favourites from early G.I. Joe books. Really liked that. I mean, I think a lot of people didn't have as big a run as I remembered when I did this reread, and a lot of people probably think he was maybe a touch overly cartoony, but for me, I really enjoyed his work.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, maybe it wasn't quite as precise, maybe as Wiggum, but yeah, I think it was still very good.
This is great radio, by the way. People are mashing that plus 15-second button. Next one, Luke, someone. And then it looks like Shearer, so maybe could be another where we had the Waltz at the top. Maybe it's a relation of Tom Waltz who's passed away. This could be Brian Shearer relation, maybe.
Could be.
Going down, Shane, don't know. Russell Heath Jr., which is Russ Heath, did penciled issue 24, and then a lot of books in the 70s and 80s. Again, did a lot of Western and war books, I think, a lot of military books.
And the G.I. Joe cartoon models as well, model designs.
Yes.
So.
Next one, too much hand in the way. Next line down, John D'Agostino. Know the name? Why? I should know this, but I don't. Nothing's coming to me.
Another comics creator, so he did some work on G.I. Joe, and specifically he did inks on some of the early G.I. Joe issues, including issues 3, 4, and 5.
Fine. Then it looks like Chic. I don't think that is the Chic band.
The Freak.
Niles Rodgers, what a legend he is. There was a story actually when Chic were on tour. Niles Rodgers and who's the other guy? I can't think what it's Bernard someone, and they were doing a gig, and one of them fell over, slumped over to the amp. Niles Rodgers goes over to him. He's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "I've got to finish the gig." So he pulled him up.
Charlie Mike.
Charlie Mike. Finished the gig, went back to the hotel room. Niles Rodgers went in to see him in the night to make sure he was okay. Dead.
10. Fact-checking Joe here. Chief is right. Just before the Sheet concert on April 18th, 1996 at the Budokan Arena in Tokyo, Bernard Edwards fell ill but refused to cancel the gig. He managed to perform but had to be helped at times. At one point, Edwards blacked out for a few seconds before resuming his playing. Rodgers assumed the absence of bass was a deliberate improvisation and did not learn the truth until after the show. After the concert, Niall went to check on Bernard and asked just how he was doing, to which he replied, "I'm fine, I just need to rest." This was the last time Niall spoke to Bernard. Edwards retired to his hotel room where he was later found dead. The cause of death was ruled to be pneumonia. At ease, troops, let's Charlie Mike.
Good grief.
Well, I'm going to put some Chic on there. I love Chic. And then lastly, it just says Ray, and I'm saying that's Ray Charles.
Right, go for it, yeah.
Okay. There you go, Chief. Got them all. bar a few.
Ding, 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 ding. First time.
Explain this pebble thing. Next panel down, Stalker, he's like, I've got the pebble. There you go, Dickie. I know it's supposed to go on your tombstone, but this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So do we know what that involves?
I guess it just must be a tradition of laying down a pebble on a tombstone.
Okay, all right. And this is where they bump into, like you said in the breakdown, this is where they bump into Wade Collins, who must be pretty rough because he does kind of ask about his son, a.k.a. Throwdown, a.k.a. Snake Eyes 2, and that's never really been explored. I think there's a bit of story extrapolation that Larry can do here to this dynamic between father and son, because I want to see a bit more of Wade and Sean together, and what Wade's anguish of having to his son has gone. He's almost never going to see him again. And I think there's maybe some story there.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, they had the whole family coming back to try and rescue him previously, didn't they?
Yes.
When he was holed up in the Springfield Centre down in the basement.
Yes.
But obviously must weigh heavily on his mind.
Yeah.
I like Stalker there using the expression "jeebus." Jeebus, Wade.
Yeah, that's good. I'll use that.
It doesn't normally get a lot of use outside of The Simpsons, so that's good.
No. So that's kind of it, isn't it? It kind of wraps up that first bit. Then we go to Arlington, where we've got Roadblock and Duke, and this is this. This is Arlington. So actually, where maybe I got it wrong. This first bit, it says on Memorial Day. Where were Stalker and Storm Shadow then? Are they also in Arlington, but a different part of it, or where's the wall?
I don't know geographically exactly where things are, but this is specifically a Vietnam memorial that the first scene is set in, which is a long wall of names.
Okay. What's that big... There's that big tower. What's that big tower called? I mean, apologies again, Americans, for my lack of knowledge. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that the Spider-Man swung around.
Okay, there you go. Pop culture always comes to your rescue.
10 Hut. Fact-checking Joe here again. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial is a U.S. national memorial in Washington, D.C., a site of 2 acres dominated by a black granite wall, engraved with the names of those service members who died as a result of their service in Vietnam and Southeast Asia during the war. The memorial is in Constitution Gardens, adjacent to the National Mall, and just northeast of the Lincoln Memorial. The monument's eastern portion points towards the Washington Monument, an obelisk within the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The Washington Monument did indeed feature in the film Spider-Man: Homecoming. Approximately a mile away and accessible via the Arlington Memorial Bridge over the Potomac River is Arlington National Cemetery, a National States Military Cemetery in Arlington County, Virginia. Stand down and back to Chief and Mark to Charlie Mike.
Right, so anyway, we know that Duke and Roadblock are in Arlington because it says in the top caption Arlington.
That's right. That's the thing that gave it away for me.
Yeah, and they're here to pay their respects to General Douche, as Ben would call him, Lawrence J. Flagg. I tell you what, he's pretty decorated. He's got a Bronze Star, a Silver Star, and a Purple Heart.
Yeah, he's done all right.
Yeah.
And I think, is it the Purple Heart that you get for dying?
Purple Heart is, for being dead or wounded, I think. Mm-hmm. Or the other two, they're to do with heroism in the face of danger. They're for being good. They're for being good soldiers.
Yeah, okay. We're really showing up our military knowledge here.
I tell you what, we get a flashback, and I'm not overly a massive fan all the time, but I quite like this one because it's not panel for panel. It's actually got them speeding in the Jeep, which you don't see in the original scene.
That's right.
A bit more action-packed. And Roadblock, I tell you what, I didn't realise he literally blew apart this Rattler. I mean, they need to start thinking about who is building these. Was it Destro and Mars building these Rattlers? Because they are like paper.
Yeah, unless it was contracted out to the person that supplied the lowest value tender.
There you go. But I'll tell you what I do like is as this flashback's going, the last panel on that page where the penultimate one where Duke says, "Listen up, I'm your new first shirt." The next panel is he's back in the present and he's delivering that line at an end and a beginning right here, and he's kind of delivering it to no one just in the middle of this. I love that bit. That's quality.
Yeah, he seems like he's enjoying himself.
Yeah, look at him. He's smiling away, and there's Doc's dead parents.
The
no, that's the wrong way around. Doc's alive parents, and Doc's dead.
Yes, indeed. From the previous bits, some people thought that an error had been made because the roll call of names that Roadblock gave is a relatively short, so it doesn't list out all of the dead Joes there.
Okay.
And but I think that's fairly easily explained away. That while I think any sort of any serviceman that has died in combat is allowed to be is kind of eligible to be buried at Arlington, it isn't a compulsory thing. So it could well easily be that they are buried closer to home, for example, in their hometown. Rather than,
and he's just reading out the Arlington list.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Done. Ding, ding, ding. No prize in the post. And when I say no prize, I mean no prize. Okay, San Francisco next. The ARAH Kage Martial Arts Training Dojo. No parking allowed, the sign tells me. Now, so just remind me who we got. We've got Budo, Milo, and Tyrone, is it?
Raymond.
No, wait a minute. No, Tyrone, not Tyrone, Raymond.
That's right.
Wait a minute. Who's Tyrone again? Was he? He was the guy from way back that Zartan took under his wing.
That's right. And
is he dead?
He's dead. He died in the freighter, and Raymond is his brother.
Oh, Raymond's his brother. Okay, I missed all about that when Raymond was introduced. Fine. Okay, cool. And these guys are honouring the soft master and the hard master.
I believe so. Yeah.
Just one page for that bit, isn't it? Yeah. Utah next. This is the pit, and are we led to believe that Hawk is going through an entire roll call of all the Joes? Because he starts with Airborne here, then he goes to Avalanche. Oh, and Avalanche is dead, actually.
He's not there.
He's not there. So why, as he said, is he just going through all the names, and if you're there, you say here, and if you're dead, you say nothing?
Exactly. Yeah, okay. Yeah. If they say something, then that's a whole different storyline.
Okay. Now, you've been a man of research. I'm sure you've counted in that top panel the amount of helmets on guns to make sure it matches up.
Let's see. 1, 2,
16.
7. Yeah, it looks like there's 16 visible on the panel. But
yes. Okay. Do we know the dead Joe count?
There is 19.
Okay. Fine, but obviously this panel this panel's diagonal, so the border frame could have cut off 3.
Yeah, so there's an explanation as to why we are only seeing an official count of 16, which actually tallies with a plaque that they talk about later on. We got 16 boots and helmets and 19 dead. So the 19 dead are Shooter, General Flag, Mangler, Doc, Crankcase, Heavy Metal, Thunder, Breaker, Crazy Legs, Quick Kick, Cool Breeze, Avalanche, Blaster, Blocker, DJ, Knockdown, Maverick, Snake Eyes, and Sneak Peek. Now, why are we only seeing 16 boots? So Mangler and Cool Breeze were probationary Joes, so they might be left off. And Snake Eyes would not be on a plaque or have boots because they are hiding his death from Cobra. So
correct.
They don't want to acknowledge the fact that he is dead.
Very good. Is that your theory?
No, that's a stolen
from
theory.
Someone online.
Ding, 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 stolen.
Yeah, we love stealing on this show. Okay, good. That's fine. That pays. That works for me. The other thing is, on that top panel where we see these Joes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, then Hawk 17, we only see 17 Joes outside stationed at the pit. Now, obviously, there are other Fort Wadsworth and the guys are in Arlington and all that other stuff, but still, it doesn't amount to many Joes being left on the whole roster, does it?
It's not a huge
maybe
not a huge
40
amount,
or something?
It?
I mean, where's the rest of them? Because there's been more than 40 Joes created or introduced.
Good question. Maybe only those ones, the ones that care.
There you go. I didn't like that douchebag. I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah, and
as
part
he's
of
sitting in the hut eating his dinner.
Yeah, part of the reason that that Hawk is doing that register is to shame the people who should have been there but didn't turn up.
Yeah. Of course, another prize might be that we're seeing these few locations, but there could well be a squad of Joes on location in Siberia doing some mission, or in the Antarctica, wherever.
Or a parallel ceremony below the pit, because of course they wouldn't want to show everybody on the surface where it can be picked up by the satellite photography.
Boom! We're just going to write this book for you, people.
Yeah. Can you name the Joes in that first panel, though?
Okay, right. Back row, looks like you've got
Put on the specs.
Beachhead, Cross Country, who's dead, I think.
No, he survived. He was in that same mission where most of them died, but he was one of the lucky few.
Is that Beachhead, the first one?
Beachhead,
Cross Country, Dusty.
Yep.
Baseball cap, jacket. Don't know. Tell me.
I'm not sure. That one's
Okay.
a mystery to me.
All right,
I
Mutt,
think, any
Recondo,
suggestions, let us know.
Torpedo, Sci-Fi.
There's a clue on the next panel.
Oh, Airborne.
That's right. 'cause
Then the front row,
Hawk
Alpine,
talks to him.
Cutter, Gung Ho, Psych Out, Shipwreck,
Rock and roll, I think.
Rock and Roll, Shipwreck, Armadillo, or is his name Rumbler? I never know. Is that a vehicle or a character?
Stealer.
Stealer? All right,
is,
neither.
is the answer.
Neither. But are they both characters? Is Rumbler and Armadillo? They're both characters, yeah?
They Rumbler. I don't know.
One of them drives the Rolling Thunder.
Turn hot, fact-checking Joe here again. Chief is right. Both Armadillo and Rumbler are the names of the Rolling Thunder vehicle driver. Armadillo is the name of the figure that came with the Rolling Thunder toy, but in his comic appearances, he was always referred to as Rumbler. These names are not to be confused with Rumbler, the Crossfire driver, or Armadillo, the mini-tank that appeared on the front cover of issue 37. Fact-checking Joe, over and out, until the next time a cock-up is made. Which I hope is not again. Charlie Mike.
Next to that dude, next to Steeler, is Tunnel Rat. And then,
Yep.
no idea, just a guy in green.
Yeah, one of the guys in green could
Okay.
be Zap potentially, because we
Yep.
do see Zap being used in around these issues. So.
Yeah. More great radio from Talking Joe. Right, Japan. Granny Demon is going to honour... She's also honouring the Soft Master and the Hard Master,
Yep.
much like our friends in San Francisco. She's at some shrine, does some clapping. Don't know the relevance of that. It means, I think she's a magician. She claps twice and 4 red ninjas appear. And then she kind of scares them off by saying she has a brand new brick to bash their brains in with. And they're like, enough of this jazz, I'm out.
Yeah, never mind the Godfather Soul with his brand new bag. Granny's got a brand new brick.
Oh dear, there's a jingle for you. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It is what it is, that scene. Darklonia, where this tombstone here, I'm not going to try and speak Darklonian, but one of those words must be Sneak Peek or no, because that would be too obvious on the nose. What was his name? What was Sneak Peek's name?
Oh man, just exposing my research this time round. I do not know off the top of my head Sneak Peek's name.
But have you translated Darklonian to know what that says on the...
Well, it says O.N.K. Bowhatter, which I assume is Sneak Peek's actual name.
Okay.
Sneak Peek.
The crosshair going down, I thought that was like Owenjk. I thought it was like some Darklonian word. Owenjk, but it's actually Owen.K. Yeah, you're right.
He is Owen King.
Owen King, and Bow Hatter just means bell end.
Turn hot, fact-checking Joe here for what I sincerely hope is the last time. Now, Bowhatter, of course, is Polish for hero. And you would make the conclusion that Darklonian is of a similar Eastern European dialect and would mean the same thing. Now, drop and give me 100. Wait. Clean out the latrines. Wait. Both at the same time. You disgust me, Charlie Mike, if you must.
Anyway, there's a couple of Darklonian scumbags here who are attempting to assassinate Katya because she is going to go and show her respects to her former lover, who I still say is not dead. And
I think it's a better storyline if he's not.
This guy is eating his rations, a bird shits on his head, and then he gets 2 in the skull.
Foot. Yeah.
Or maybe 1 in the skull for him, and the second one was for his spotter.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad. He didn't even get to eat his rations. He got a bird turd, and then he got shot. That guy's not having a day. Okay, fine. So, bit of violence there. Why not? Staten Island, Fort Wadsworth. Now, I'd forgotten that Fort Wadsworth was another base because there was that scene, wasn't there, or that issue where the pit, they branched out, they put a base in San Francisco, one back in Fort Wadsworth, and there was a third one somewhere that I can't remember. I think.
The pit?
And just Utah, was it? Okay, maybe. Anyway, Joes are here. Who are these Joes actually? Who's the guy with the beard? Is that Clutch?
That's Clutch, and he's got a apron which says "Good cook in a clutch," which
Oh, yes, he
I
does.
assume
Clue.
must be a hilarious joke of some description.
Yes, only for Joes. Even for them, probably not funny.
No.
These guys are feeding people, and there's some question marks raised about how the chaplain's assistant motor pool could rack up 16 KIAs. And it's because of the heat-seeking missiles.
And that was going to be my colloquialism.
There used to be a pudding that was over-egged. You know the pudding. You know the pudding. At first it was British, but then it was Commonwealth. You know the pudding. You know the pudding. But now there's a new player in town, a comic book writer of some renown. He's using real-world examples and peppering the issues with lots of samples. It's a Larry Hammer colloquialism. He's talking G.I. Joe and all its heroism. Can you guess what it is? Is it something new? Now listen as Larry drops a slice of real life on you. Missiles spell MISSALS.
Yes.
What region of the United States is that from?
What do you mean? All of it.
Okay.
It's just a word.
Okay, I thought it was a specific dialect from a specific region of America.
It's just a word that
Right.
that is being used here, which is not something I guess we would use in typical everyday chit chat.
Right. Okay. Is it an actual word though?
Yeah. So,
right,
so it's a
I'm
pun.
losing. I thought it was he is trying to say missiles, but he's saying it with a twang.
with
Missiles.
slang, with twang, missiles.
What does it mean?
So it is a very, very clever pun, Chief, because a missal, spelt that way, is a liturgical book containing all instructions and text necessary for the celebration of Mass.
What does
throughout
liturgical
the
mean?
year. Religious
Right.
gubbins.
Right.
So
Got
they're chaplains, so they need their religious texts to help them in their work that they do.
Okay.
And so
Right. I
the
maintain that if a joke has to be explained to this much degree, it's not funny.
hence the humour follows.
Okay.
Wait. I think you've not engaged your revanche humour, Chip.
Oh yeah. Ha 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 ha. There you go. Very good. Very good. A lot of people eating in this issue.
It's all of them orphans.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing we know about orphans, they always ask for more.
Yeah. No, sir. Get a missile on them.
Oh dear, I think I could be the chief joke writer now with that quality.
Still on Staten Island, but this time on the Staten Island ferry, we get Scarlett, who is buying 2 dogs and 2 coffees and eating none of them.
Oh dear.
And she's wearing this hat for the first time. Not seen her wearing this hat. Welcome to the hat rack. We got the inside track. Welcome to the hat rack. This is the hat soundtrack. I don't know if that's of any interest to anyone other than me.
Okay, you're going to rate the hat, Chief.
I don't mind that one. 7 out of 10. There seems to have been a bit too much. I don't mind characters showing emotion, but a bit too much lately of Scarlett reminiscing about Snake Eyes. Or I'm not saying you shouldn't reminisce about your dead loved ones, but this particular scene, a lot of Staten Island ferry scenes in particular, and it's just too much.
The Scarlet special mission had her a lot of reminiscing on the Staten Island ferry in quite a similar way, wasn't it?
And then we saw, obviously, in the last issue, we saw Sean and Sean's birthday, which you never thought you'd see in a G.I. Joe comic, and Scarlett again being sad, and stop moping, girl, get out there. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Lastly, we cut to the High Sierras, where this wolf is hot damn, it's angry, and it is crawling through the forest, and it's crawling on the roof of the cabin.
Roof?
Yeah, and then he does that brilliant awoo that you simulated earlier, and so he's got a scar on the right side of his face. So,
and that is consistent with the look of the character.
Okay.
So they have continued to have the scar on the wolf's face, unlike Destro, who lost his scar after S.L. Gallant stopped drawing it.
Yes, that is
Or the
Mars
book.
technology at its finest.
It's because it's Molly Steele.
Yes, correct. Oh, I'll play that jingle. So earlier on in the recording, you alluded to some potential Easter eggs. So we have discussed quite a lot of them already. But did you get any more?
I spy with my little eye.
Yeah, you've ticked off a lot of them as we've gone along, but one that we didn't mention was the two chaplains that are in that Staten Island scene munching on some barbecue food. The two dudes, one of them has got more of a kind of cowboy hat, and one of them's got a sort of a green baseball cap style hat.
Yep.
We've got to be careful about how we describe our hats, with our new expertise in that area. So, any clues as to who those dudes might be, Chiefy?
Should I know?
Potentially. So it depends on whether you have watched MASH.
I did used to like MASH, actually. So this is... what the hell are the guys' names? Okay, no, you're going to have to put me out of my misery.
So these two...
Hawkeye!
Well, that's a name of a guy from MASH. Unfortunately, it's not the name of the guy that's been drawn here. So they have both been drawn to look like the character from MASH, Father Mulcahy. I'm not sure about the pronunciation of that.
Okay, yes, yeah, I remember that character, yep.
One of them is the movie version of the character, who I believe is René Auberjonis.
Okay.
And the TV actor William Christopher.
Right.
And S.L. Gallant also used the look of William Christopher as a disguise for Zartan after his fight with Dawn when he was visited by a chaplain in hospital. Not the first time that he's had that same idea.
Yep, that's it. Good discussion about the issue. We will need to Yo-Joe it. So, what are you coming in with? How many cans of Yo-Jo Cola are you spilling in celebration of this issue?
I think it was a nice thing to do, but as an issue, I don't know that it necessarily really added anything, and it somewhat disrupted the flow of actually the issues either side of it. So, yeah, certainly could have been, I think, done at a different time potentially. Although obviously they want it to try and coincide in the calendar year when Memorial Day is. So I could have lived without of it, but it's fine for what it is. So 6, I think, for me. 6
from Funky Bunch. Chief also coming in with a 6. Good stuff. We are now approaching Snake Hunt, which is I've got all 10 in front of me right now, so I might even read all 10 this afternoon. And we'll probably be covering that over 3 episodes of Talking Joe, just so we can break it down a little bit for you. So exciting times ahead. Snake Hunt. Be careful how you say it. But right now, we might even go to a toy segment. Mark talks about toys, ho ho. He talks about G.I. Joe. He talks about all the toys from the comic book and the animated show. Mark talks about toys. Mark talks about toys. Okay, Funky Bunch has got it in hand. Now, have you got this toy in hand?
Oh, I don't have the toy in hand.
Okay, I was going to say Rattler, so I'm not going to say Rattler.
I've got my buzzer ready in hand to mash the hell out of that.
Did they make a toy of that character from MASH? Going to say no. So, right, we've done Airborne recently, I think. Did we do? Yeah, we did do Airborne.
We did
so
Airborne,
it's not him.
Yeah.
Avalanche could be the one I choose, but he might not be the one I choose.
He wasn't the one I selected, if that helps.
Yes, so that's not the one I'm choosing, obviously. It's not going to be Stalker or Storm Shadow. It's not going to be Roadblock. I couldn't think of his name. I thought it started with S. No, Roadblock. It's Clutch. No, too boring. It's not going to be Timber 3 because they did not make that wolf, I don't think. Then not Scarlet. None of those ninja. Budo is on my short list, and so is Duke.
Neither of those.
No, that's why short. That's what I say. Short list doesn't mean they're the one.
Okay.
So it can only be.
Seeing the workings.
It can only be Mutt and Junkyard.
I think we've done Mutt and Junkyard.
That's
before,
what I'm saying. It could only be him if we were doing a past episode, not this one.
Okay.
Which means it has to be Shipwreck.
Is Shipwreck even in this issue?
Okay, I thought he was in that lineup thing. So, what does his name begin with?
It begins with C.
C. Cutter. No, we've done him.
And then we've done Cutter. And then an R.
Crazy legs. Yes, ding, ding, ding. First guess.
Excellent.
Okay.
We don't even need to use the negative buzzer, so I saved myself some button pressing.
There you go. First time as always
again.
for the Chief. Crazy Legs, 1988, I'm saying.
It was 1987.
That's what I said, 1987.
Yep, of course, and we probably did get him in the UK the following year, so I'm sure you're technically right.
Tell me all about this guy.
Okay, did you? So I'm assuming probably Crazy Leg might have been slightly after you stopped collecting. Or actually, no, you kept on going because you had the Norgahide.
Yeah, I didn't have him, but Ben had him, so I am familiar-ish with the character.
Yeah, so Crazy Legs, I guess, is probably a little bit unloved in terms of he's the next in a long line of, the G.I. Joe parachutists, and indeed he came with a tan parachute backpack. Which actually wasn't a proper backpack, it was more of a harness that wraps around his legs, and even came with some instructions to help you get it on, because it was all a bit twisty and not necessarily completely obvious how it was supposed to work. Obviously for me, that one went in the box and never got used in play because it was too fiddly and complicated. And then you just came with a basic sort of little assault rifle with a detachable stock. Quite a cool, distinctive weapon. And it was only he was used briefly in the comics in that issue again where they've got the Thunder Machine and Thrasher. I was trying to say, getting his nose broken and whatnot.
Yes, that's my most prevalent memory is him on the C-130 with the dreadnoughts, and they're in some jungle location, aren't they?
Yeah, and the plane crashes and things get thrown around inside, and I think he captures another orphan.
Yeah. Good little storyline, that one. I like that one.
It was good, yeah. So this guy is called David O. Thomas, and he is from Iowa, Fort Dodge, Iowa, in fact. He's primary specialty infantry, secondary specialty parachute rigger. Crazy Legs could have been the greatest organist in the world if his fingers hadn't been too short.
Oh dear.
The airborne rangers don't care how perfectly you can play Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor. They're only concerned with your willingness to jump out of a helicopter into a hot LZ with nothing but a rifle, a couple of grenades, and the best wishes of your commanding officer.
Yeah, jump,
Crazy
jump.
Legs. Jump. Crazy Legs is, of course, airborne ranger qualified and has been cross-trained as a forward artillery observer. And the quote is, you can be storming a hardened position right into the teeth of an enfilade green tracer so thick in the air you can smell the magnesium. AP mines going off with intersecting cones of fire, bouncing Betties, the works. Crazy Legs comes ducking and weaving through all of this with a weird light in his eyes and humming a section from Johann Sebastian Bach. Sounds like the kind of manoeuvres that get a man killed. Oh, too soon.
Yeah. I like this guy. I like the look. I like the colours. Good figure.
Yeah, I think he's actually a very good looking figure. He's got that distinctive red costume and sort of got a nice texture to it as well. It sort of is kind of like a bumpy kind of texture to his top, which runs down his legs as well. Grey and red kind of accents to his colours, sort of makes it pop, makes him stand out. So I think a nice figure overall. It's just a shame that kind of speciality as being a kind of a parachutist was used so frequently in the comics, and I think that's why he was singled out by Larry as one to bump off, because there was such a glut of that speciality in the Joe ranks. Yeah,
it's a shame. I was part of me's thinking, I'd like to see, Ripcord, Airborne, Crazy Legs. I don't know if there's another cool one or not, but them on some sort of parachutist mission. But the problem with that is the actual parachuting probably lasts about 2 pages, and then their actual specialty is then defunct. We've used that 2 pages already, so they probably don't go together as a really good story. However, you do get that awesome Ripcord story. Cobra Island with Zartan and Candy and all that kind of stuff going on, and we do get to see him eject from the Sky striker and parachute down with a halo drop in, and so that's quite cool. But as an overall group of parachutists, I suppose you'll struggle to get a long storyline out of it. But Crazy Legs, for his part, and when he did appear, I thought he was good. And again, I do like the character, or the figure. Sorry. There you go, Crazy Legs, everyone.
In memoriam, Crazy
Legs.
Legs.
Yes, little one of them. Please join us next week for more Talking Joe. I think it's episode 106, is it? I think so.
Yeah, if this is a half episode, isn't it?
This is
so
a
it's gonna
half
be 106
bonus
next.
into your oral canal. Early New Year's Day present, or New Year's New Year present, I should say. But yeah, we'll be covering. Read at least 4 issues of Snake Hunt. We'll cover maybe 3 or 4, undecided as yet. But make sure you've done your prep. You don't have to do your prep. You can do your prep if you want to do your prep. We'll be reading them, otherwise it will be a terrible show.
Just like this one.
Yeah, just like
the
this
thing
one.
about it being a bonus episode is that it's half an episode, half as good, half as much effort. It's all good.
Well, say that. I'm looking at the clock. We've been running 53 minutes, so it depends how much you edit. Because Funky Bunch is now editing the show, so expect the quality to go up by about 23%. But I'll tell you what, energy's been high. I quite enjoy these little bonus episodes.
Yeah, it's keeps us focused.
Yeah,
and
good.
I guess when you're looking at just one episode in isolation, you can literally really look at it panel by panel, page by page.
Yeah,
get into the detail.
Very good, very good. Right, that's it. I am going to watch a movie because by the time this comes out, I don't know, it's probably into the new year, I'd imagine, unless Funky Bunch turns this around double quick time. And yeah, I need to watch 2 movies to complete my 200-year challenge. So the missus is already annoyed that I'm going to be watching movies on New Year's Eve. But that's tough shit, missus. I need to beat this challenge. I'll try and watch a missus-friendly movie with her. How about that?
Missus-friendly.
Yeah. Something like Star Wars. No, I've seen that really. She hates Star Wars. She hates all geek culture.
So that's good. That's probably the biggest challenge out of biggest challenge of the whole 200 challenge is find a movie that she will agree to watch with you and will enjoy.
Join us for the next episode when you find out that I only watched 199 movies and I wasted a whole year watching pointless rubbish.
Or Chief watched 200 but is also divorced.
I'll take either of those options. They also both sound good. So with all that said and done, we will catch you down the road.
Because we've been a short Talking Joe.
And we might still have some bonus episodes in the future.